Hi, my name is Dr. Schweinsgruber with audioreviews.org, and today we are talking about the TRN V90S earphone. It's an earphone that has 5 BAs and 1 DD driver, 5 balanced amateur and 1 dynamic driver, and it retails at around $50. Okay, as to the specifications of the TRN V90, it's got 5 balanced armature drivers and 1 dynamic driver, a frequency range of 20 to 20,000 hertz. That's pretty standard. It's got a sensitivity of 108 decibels at an impedance of 22 ohms. 22 ohms is actually pretty good. It's got a 2-pin 78 millimeter detachable cable, and you find the purchase link below from the TRN official store. Okay, let's just see what the TRN V90S sounds like. I know there's lots of criticism that a graph doesn't tell you everything, and that's totally true. It doesn't tell you anything about technicalities, but it tells you about quantities, and it's a start. It's a start, and you can use this diagram just to talk your way through that overall sound. So this is just a guideline for me, and it has some value. Okay, first of all, the TRN V90S is a technically actually very good earphone. It's got a very articulate bass. It's got a really good soundstage, a very expansive soundstage, a very tall soundstage. It's not very deep. But the biggest cons is that the timbre or timbre is not that organic, and the lower mids are recessed. I'll talk about this in a second, and we have really boosted upper treble, and we do need aftermarket tips. So let's have a look at this curve as a whole, and let's just see what it tells us. So first of all, you have a bit of a butt here, so it's above neutral. Neutral would be that horizontal line at 85 decibels. It isn't, so it's elevated by 6 decibel. Then we see a huge climb. The pinna gain here from the lower mid range to the upper mid range. That's about 13 or so decibel. It's quite a bit. And then we see that typically in these Chi-Fi earphones, that peak extends to 5 kilohertz, 4 to 5 kilohertz, but it doesn't this time, which is very good. I'll explain this later. And then this is also rather unusual that we've got these peaks, and these peaks exist also in the measurements of other people, so this is to some extent real. Let's just go to the bass. The bass is just really good. It's a very articulate bass, very, very nicely dosed. It's not too strong. It leaves that vocals department alone. It's an entity by itself, and it is very well dosed, very nice. And TRN, they do actually have a bit of a history of these good low ends. When you think back to the V80, it had a very, very good bass, but a lot of upper mid-range it had, and it was a bit of a screamer. Now, here we have an upper mid-range that actually, as I said, it drops right away. You've got one peak at around 2 kilohertz, it drops right away. And what this does is it adds energy, it adds clarity to the vocals department that sits here, but it doesn't overdo it. So it is not shouty. There's a good clarity here. It is not shouty anywhere. It's getting there, but it's not shouty. It's not aggressive. It's not sharp. It's pretty good. However, the vocals department sitting down here is really recessed, and that was already an issue with the original V90. The V90S, by the way, has 1 more BA drivers. It's a 5+1. The V90 is a 4+1. So I don't think these earphones have very much actually in common, other than that this really recessed lower mid-range the vocals, and it is actually not good. But if you use JVC spiral dots, or at least if I use JVC spiral dots, that actually works for me. That's actually okay. That actually brings these vocals out to an extent where it's reasonable. And vocals are, the quality of the vocals is not bad. It's actually, as I said, they're not aggressive, they're not sharp, they're not glassy. They're okay, they're just a little bit back. So you need these third-party tips, which is, of course, not really good that the manufacturer puts in ear tips, which the included ones, the stock tips, they don't even fit my ears. They're too small and I don't get a good seal. So mid-range, okay, but recessed. And then this thing here, the bass, this you have got this really strong, you've got this really strong upper peaks, and they add actually sparkle, they add sheen. They don't add clarity, but they do add fake resolution. They improve the resolution to a point that doesn't exist. But if you're younger, if you have young ears, and if your upper frequencies are still very well developed, or you can still hear it in your hearing, it may cause a problem. It may be too much for people. People might find it too aggressive at the very, very high peaks, the high notes. So it doesn't add aggression. Aggression would be added by this, or shrillness, sharpness. It doesn't do that. But it's got this very upper thing, and the very, very upper nose sound to tizzy to, and also artificial, and they have a very fast decay. It's not great. So let's go back to timbre. It is not the best. That's a real weakness of this earphone. It's more like the TRN BA5, for which I didn't personally care. But it's not as natural sounding as, for instance, the blown BL05S. The blown BL05S single dynamic driver in the same price range of about $50, to me sounds simply more natural, more organic. And it even actually comes close in technical terms and technicalities. But that model didn't really make it because people were PO'd because of their BL05 that almost sounds the same, sounds the same by name, looks the same, has a different driver, it sounds totally different, but they really blew it. So a blown BL05S didn't make it. This one is good. It doesn't sound natural, but it's a good sound, good stage, as I said, tall stage. And when I compare them to the 2018 models that are around $100, $130, this one isn't any worse. So you get more value for your money. But on the other hand, if you have enough earphones in the price range, you really don't need this one. As always, there's a written review of the TRN V90S, and that video is just based on that written review. Check it out at audioreviews.org/earphones. This was my take on the TRN V90S earphones. If you liked this review, please give us a like, please subscribe to this channel, push that bell to get notifications by email, and you find all the important links, the written review, etc. Below in the comment section. And if you find that PayPal button, please donate to support our operating costs. I'm Dr. Schweinsgruber in Calgary. Thanks for watching. Until next time, auf Wiedersehen.